class, we looked at what is fashion, and we looked at the fashion cycle. Does anyone remember the different stages of the fashion cycle? There were 5. Anyone?
That I'm not sure.
All right, let's look over it once again. The 5 different stages. First one, the fashion stage, is introduction. So that's where the style is introduced, and then it starts to be adopted by more and more people. That's the rise. This where the third stage where the most number of people adopt the style is the peak. The 4th is where it begins to decline, and the 5th is obsolescence, where there is no more demand for it and becomes obsolete and dies out. Right? These were the 5. Very important. You need to know this. If someone wakes you up from sleep and asks you, you need to know this. That's how important it is. And we also looked at the different types of consumers of these styles, or what they're labeled as. Does anyone remember that? Okay, we'll go over it once again. One more time. Innovators are the consumers who are the first ones to adopt a style when it comes in. Second set of consumers are the adopters. The third would be the followers. And the 4th would be the laggards, or the late followers. So a quick question for you guys. Where do you think you would fall into these? Would you label yourself as an innovator, an adopter, follower, or late follower?
I think I'm follower.
Followers? So we have 1 for followers.
What about classic? Doesn't change.
Hmm?
The fashion doesn't change for the persons. Like always wearing just polo t-shirts.
Right.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change. But where do you see yourself in that stage?
More like adapters.
Adopters? Okay, 1 for adopter. I mean,
Somewhere between adopter and follower.
okay, that could actually, early follower or late adopter, yeah. Laggards? Totally acceptable. Okay, that's good enough. We see ourselves in different stages, and that is true. Because every stage has its own set of leaders or influencers. Peer influence in fashion is very important. We do look up to a certain set of people for our styles. And that is exactly what we're talking about today. Movement of fashion. There are 3 well-known theories when it comes to the movement of fashion. The first one being the trickle-down theory. What do you think that means? Trickle down. Think economics, trickle down.
It starts with the upper class and then spreads to the lower class.
Perfect answer. Exactly right. We're looking at the transfer of style from the upper classes to the lower classes. Why do you think this happens? Why would the lower classes look up to the upper classes for fashion? On the right track. Keep thinking. Because they are the upper classes.
So
Why would, yeah.
They want to be me, but they want to be more fashionable.
Exactly. The key word would be aspiration. If you dress like the upper classes, you will feel like the upper classes, which means eventually, you know, the aspiration to be better than what you are. That is what the trickle-down theory is all about. It's the most widely accepted and widely used theory in fashion. Here we're looking at trendsetters or innovators transferring the fashions to the adopters. The second one is the trickle-up theory. What comes to mind when you say trickle-up?
Ripped jeans.
Right, ripped jeans. Anything else? Anything else? So basically, I mean, think about it. Trickle up is the exact opposite of trickle down. The fashion is going from the lower classes to the upper classes. Why would this happen? The upper classes are not aspiring to be shabbier.
To be ironic.
To be ironic, that could be true. That could be true. But it's mostly it's a cultural thing. I mean, think of denim started from the lower classes. It's a workman's clothing. But it's very practical. It's a practical piece of clothing and lasts long. So that way, if you think about it, it just transfers. Any other examples that you can think of for trickle up?
Like the earth boot, like this is the most simple boot, but now we can see the top brand design like Jimmy Choo and other people start design the boots that look like earth, or even design boots for earth.
Okay. So you can come up with like various examples. I mean, jeans is obviously the most widespread, but think of punk hairstyles or punk genre. Then there's also the grunge, which was in the 90s. That was a lower to an upper class transference. And the third and the final is trickle across. This is most prevalent in the 21st century because in this moment of time, fashion can start at any level, socioeconomic level, and then transfer across. And that's what it is about. For this week's homework, I want you to find examples of trickle across theory that you think you identify with and put them in your scrapbook. And continue working on the scrapbook. They will be due next month again.